Okay, Nick and Andy, this is it. The final weekend of the Premier League season. Championship Sunday is almost upon us. Arsenal against Everton at the Emirates Stadium. I'll be there for PST. Delighted to be running analysis and reaction on site in North London for what will be a very tense occasion, I think, for Arsenal fans. Obviously, everyone will be looking at their phones, listening to announcements about what's going on in Manchester in the Man City West Ham game. But situation is very simple for Arsenal for this one. Win this game against Everton, and they have a chance of winning the title. But they need Man City to lose or draw at home against West Ham for that to happen. Nick Mendola, what percentage chance do you give Arsenal of winning the title going into the final weekend of the season? Because they are 2 points behind City, been brilliant, especially since the turn of the year in 2024, the way they've stayed in this race. Feels like they're just going to come up short, though.
Yeah, winning the game, 99%.
Yes.
99%. I don't think Everton can score enough to hang with this Arsenal team. Winning the title, 10%. 10%. Wow. I think West Ham are used to countering. One of the reasons we've argued for, and we'll get into that game, but I just think West Ham have a better chance of doing the job for Arsenal than Everton have of doing the job for Man City.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Nick, when we think about this, Nick, I think Arsenal have improved in so many areas that whatever happens on Sunday, it's going to be deemed a success this season, right? There's no way, when we speak to the Arsenal players after the game, they'll be disappointed, of course. But the gap that they've closed on Man City and made them sweat this much this season, being so young, it just bodes well for the future. Right? I think Arsenal fans will be quite philosophical, even if they don't win the title this weekend. It will be disappointing, but Nick, they've made huge strides forward.
Yeah, and when you look at it in a vacuum, this is what I would say. There are so many times you watched Arsenal this season, and it wasn't like, oh, they're still near the top of the table. It was they're playing a very good team. This is the game of the season, and Arsenal shows up. They show up. And that mentality is the step they probably needed to take. Were they games they didn't win? Yeah. Were there games that they maybe lost themselves in the moment late? Yeah, but there weren't any games where you're like, Arsenal doesn't deserve to be here. How are they here? Like, this is ridiculous. I can't believe they won that game. Those didn't happen. So while I'm not going to brand them the favorites, I will tell you that I think should they find another player, they missed Gabby Jesus for a while. Should they find the guy who's going to fill that role and fill it better? Yeah, the season's a success and the future is bright.
Yeah, Andy, do you agree with that? I think there is that one area they probably need to improve is to score even more goals to overtake the juggernaut that is Manchester City. But I've been around Arsenal a lot this season in the tunnel area after games, and there's just a confidence and a belief that they took from being in the title race last season unexpectedly. So they just handled the moments and the ebbs and flows of the season very calm and composed. I think Martin Odegaard kind of sums it up quite nicely, that if you look at him, the way he leads this team, that's kind of how Arsenal have been this season. Quality, they've had composure, had control of the situation, and even though they come up short, they've had a very, very good season.
Yeah, there's no arguing that they've had an incredible season and progress has been made, and they're a better team now than they were at this time last year. They're a better team now than they were at the start of the season, even after they bring in Declan Rice. But I can't help but think back to that game against City a couple of months ago.
Yeah,
and the lack of ambition they showed in that game. We knew. I mean, obviously, it was the first and second place team in the league, but we knew that was going to decide it because we know what City do every single year, how they finish seasons. And that was Arsenal's chance to have a say in, well, you're not going to run the table from here on out. And the lack of ambition is the only way I can think of it. 28% possession, 6 shots in a game. You can't do that against anybody. And I know that we're talking about arguably the greatest team and collection of talent of all time, but if you aspire to be champion, you can't do that. And also, by the way, I know people are having a go at Spurs because of everything that occurred the last couple of days. I'd like to have a go at Arsenal take 4 points off of Aston Villa instead of losing to them both games. Spurs might have a chance to get top 4, and Arsenal are champions, and everybody can go home happy. So,
that's what,
swings and roundabouts is what you guys say over there, Joe, right?
It does.
For me, the only thing that Arsenal's missing, and this could be a problem on Sunday, is when they drop points, it's because they're in a street fight and they get uncomfortable. And I look back to, they lost to Fulham. They lost to West Ham. The games against Villa. Hilarious, by the way. You say the thing about Spurs. It was Unai Emery. It was Unai Emery that potentially stopped them from getting there. And that's just it, Joe. I think they're a tenacious team for sure, and they have leadership and mentality. But too many times, whether it's Paulinho or Douglas Luiz, that they sometimes get stunned when they get punched in the mouth.
Yeah. You mentioned tenacious D, right? Defensively, they have been incredible. That is the difference. Saliba and Gabriel, wonderful partnership. Saliba's been fit throughout the season. Gave a shout out to Ben White and our team of the season. And then Declan Rice just sitting in front and marshalling things and just plugging those gaps that were popping up throughout the season expertly. So defensively, that for me has been the big improvement. And next season, just keep that going. Find that extra goal scoring threat. However you're going to find it, whoever it is. And I think Arsenal are going to be right there with Man City once again. But there is a game they have to win this weekend against Everton. And I think, Andy, this could actually be quite difficult because Everton, mentioned it before, defensively, very sound, very solid. We know the points deduction has kind of impacted where we see them in the table, but they should be mid-table. They've had, the second highest number of clean sheets in the league this season, 4th fewest goals conceded. They have the potential here to make this quite a tough, difficult afternoon. And I just feel like Jordan Pickford and Tarkowski and these kind of players will relish kind of playing the spoiler role a little bit and just dig in and want to keep another clean sheet. But how do you see this game going? Because it's difficult for Arsenal. They just have to go all out to win. That's all they can do. But Everton are decent on the counter-attack as well.
Yeah, we're talking about an Arsenal team that's given up 28 goals in 37 games
I know.
this season. So while you can name all the great defenders and, a great defensive mentality and willing to fight for each other and lock arms and then, Yeah, I don't see it for Everton in this one. I don't think it's easy for Arsenal, but this is a great team. This is a really, really good and dominant team as well. And to Nick's point, Everton not really one of the teams to punch you in the mouth, maybe slightly more so physically than kind of metaphorically in terms of the quality that they bring. So I look for Arsenal to handle their business, but of course, it's not in their hands. So I'll say 3-1 to Arsenal.
Nick, what are you going with?
Are you telling me that soon-to-be 39-year-old Ashley Young and Everton are he's in there. He's in the lineup every week, are going to score multiple goals against Arsenal? Because I am not thinking so. And that's the thing. I think Everton can hang at the back, but if they want to go forward at all, good luck. Good luck. So I'm going to say 3-0 Arsenal.
Wow. I'm going to say 2-0 to Arsenal. I think it'll be a bit tighter than we think. But Saka against Ashley Young, that seems a bit of a mismatch if Young does start at left back again. So, Everton have got good form going into this one. Though. Obviously, 5 games unbeaten, won 4 of those, but they were at home. So this is going to be a big, big ask for them to go and, I guess, do Man City a favour. I just can't see anything other than Arsenal winning a pretty comfortable one. And then everyone will be, it used to be back in the day, right, with the transistor radios on their ears. But now it'll be on the phone, scrolling, asking around, and be there in the press box. And you're really close to the home fans there. So I'm sure a lot of them will be shouting back to us if we've got screens on with multiple games, what's going on. And it'll be a fun day at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal against Everton. Head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com. We'll be there on site. We'll have all the how to watch information, analysis, video highlights, and reaction up on the website. As Arsenal, if they win, they have a chance of winning the title, and then it's all about what happens at Man City against West Ham. It's going to be a tense final day, but hats off to Arsenal for taking the title race all the way to the final 90 minutes of the season.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.